So, Ross, we'll throw this one to you to begin with. And after nearly a year,柯文哲is free, but do you think he's as free as he would like to be?
It's not the first time he's been freed since he was originally arrested. The lower court had agreed to give him bail several times, but it was appealed by prosecutors at the appellate court level, who sent it back down to the district court level. So it's not a surprise that the judge has awarded him bail again, keeping in mind that at this point, as you indicated, prosecutors have interviewed many of the witnesses. I think it's a bit strange that prosecutors are still arguing that at this point could collude with witnesses or engage in any evidence destruction. Again, this far into the case, it's over a year already since the original detention. I mean, and prosecutors should have all the evidence they need to get a conviction. Or maybe they're not confident they could get a conviction. Of course, the case does have its weaknesses, kind of, starting with the fact they haven't found the money trail. And also there's a general principle involved here that it isn't Joe proven guilty. And even when you're on trial, that principle still applies. And there has to be a high bar to detain someone during trial. Now, normally you would see that in a in a case involving a violent criminal or accusations of a violent crime like a murder. Typically you wouldn't bail out a murderer while their trial is pending. But for a white-collar criminal case or allegation of corruption, typically they would get bail. They wouldn't be held in pretrial detention. And again, now that it's over a year since he was originally detained, I think the justification to continue to detain him was pretty weak.
Yes, the 1 year mark is a long time to be in pretrial detention. Chen Shui-bian was in pretrial detention for about 10 months, I think, before he was allowed to post bail. The prosecutors do have some arguments, and I think they just automatically appeal these cases out of a sense of what they're supposed to do. And they do have a few arguments. He did come in contact with a couple of witnesses in the political contributions part of the case. They were in the delegation of people, a city councilor and a party official, and they were in the group of people who came to meet Ko when he got out of the detention center. I'm not personally totally convinced that should be dispositive, but there are some other witnesses who haven't been questioned yet in court, and once again, pretrial detention is extremely common in many jurisdictions with similar legal systems to Taiwan, including all of Europe, pretty much all of Europe, Japan, and Korea. And in Germany, we do see, about 10% of defendants get held for a year or more. It's usually proportional to the sentence that prosecutors are asking for, and in Ke's case, they're asking for 28 years, so 1 year might arguably not be totally disproportional. But I have many criticisms of Taiwan's pretrial system. It's too easy to be abused, to force confessions. People are in there too long. Conditions are terrible. We even have a case with the deputy mayor who was a witness in the case, whose wife committed suicide before he was about to testify, I think in July. And he found out about this, at the court hearing, and was understandably in a state of shock. And I suspect that what he said at that time was probably true, which he claimed at that moment of high emotional distress, that he had agreed to plead guilty and confessed because he wanted to get out of pretrial detention. And that's exactly the kind of problem we have.
So, Michael, I mean, what Ross was hinting at when he mentioned it was he would have thought that the prosecutors have all the evidence by now, have all the smoking guns.
I agree that they should have it, but this is a difference between the Anglo-American system and the civil law system. In the Anglo-American system, the police and the prosecutors do need to pretty much get all their evidence in line before they indict someone, and they will have a problem if they don't have that already from the beginning. But in Taiwan, what tends to happen, and it's not just in Taiwan, it's Japan and Korea and most of Europe, is that prosecutors get a report of a crime or they think they have probable cause to arrest somebody for a crime, and only then does the investigation begin. And they will hold people until they think they have collected all the evidence. I am completely opposed to this practice and disagree with it, but that is what it is.
Again, this far into the process, the argument that Ke, if he's bailed out, is going to collude with witnesses to somehow influence the outcome of the case, I think it's pretty weak. Yes, there's still some witnesses that have to be questioned in court, but most of the witnesses have already been questioned in quite laborious detail. There's just not a strong argument to keep as well as one of the other accused who was the last remaining here. There are a number of people who are accused in this case. Ke and City Councilor Xiaowei were the last two who had yet to be bailed. They both received bail on the same day. But again, the witnesses, for the most part, have already been questioned. Evidence has been presented in court. It's a prosecutor's aren't confident that they've convinced the judges that a guilty verdict is warranted. Keeping Ke and Ying in detention at this point is not going to help their case.
Hello， 大家，听完这两位美籍律师的评论，你有什么感觉？在现在的媒体环境下，能听到这么专业又相对平衡的外语评论，其实很难得了，所以我剪了影片跟大家分享。对了 ，Michael 提到当年陈水扁案，我请 AI 老师将两个案子做了比较，帮大家回忆。